guys, so this week we learned about the neuron cell. The neuron cell is responsible for sending important messages to the brain. The neuron cell helps regulate thoughts, feelings, and major functions. Now, each neuron has their own specific job that would easily compare to an ant colony. They each have their own separate job as the colony, but together they cooperate and function as a whole, with trillions of other ways to communicate. Now, another way to think about this is a game that we used to play called Telephone as kids, where we would start with one person talking, and we would communicate to each other person trying to get the same message through. And I think that's pretty important to realize, especially as I start talking about the process of where it goes, and especially since I'm going to be going through the top all the way to the bottom. So we are going to go straight into it, and I'm going to start first with the dendrites. So the dendrites, they receive chemical changes from other neurons, and these are right here, all the edges that this is pointing to. So they receive the information and it goes to the cell body, which is now going to be right here. And this is sometimes called the soma. So the soma, or the cell body, collects neural impulses and contains the cell's nucleus, which is going to be that big center, and maintains vital functions for the cell to live. So after the information goes to the cell body, it travels down the axon. And the axon is going to be this long spinal type looking tail. So the axon actually has a few parts of it, and it travels down this long spine relaying the message and will eventually go to the axon terminals. Going down the axon, the information will travel to the myelin sheath, and the myelin sheath goes over the axon to help guarantee that our information is protected and helps make sure that our signal gets to our brain fast and strong. So the Schwann cell is actually on the inside of the myelin sheath, right in here, and is made out of glia cells. And the glia cells help nourish them and cleans out any debris left behind from any other neurons from this transaction that we're having. So we also have to thank our nodes of Renovere, which is going to be in the middle of these, because they help trigger the signal to the myelin sheath. Once the signal has completed that far, it travels down to the axon terminal, which I know I mentioned earlier, which is going to be down here. These are these little guys. And once it has reached that far, the terminal branches trigger the chemical change that our body needs and then delivers it to the next neuron cell. So there's a gap in between the neurotransmitter, and this is called the synapse gap. So right here is the synapse gap, and I made it a lot more dramatic than what it actually is because it is actually quite small. But the neurotransmission process converts the electrical signal that our body needs and turns it into the chemical changes. So understanding how the neuron cells communicate is important too. When the cells have a resting potential, there's an imbalance of electric charge. And if the potential is made greater than the resting, then the cell is hyperpolarized. If the inside of the two cells does the opposite, the potential decreases under the resting potential, then is considered depolarized. This means that when a cell is depolarized, it is moving the negative resting potential toward zero. And for the charges to move, they need to pass through the voltage threshold, which is at the resting place. It now does the exact same process, but in reverse. And once that action is fired, it keeps the positive charges on the ion and the negative charges out. And once the receptors receive the neuron, the process is finished. But not only can any neuron, well, not any neuron can just enter through one. They are very specific, and this one, let's say, goes to this one. This one cannot go to any other one because they are so specific. So they have their own one, and once they are all connected, our body needs to repolarize. And meaning that means that each one of these now has to do the react or the opposite process that we just did. So we started off with these dudes and we went down all the way until we got here. Now we are going to do the reverse and go up here to the terminal branches, up the axon, to the nucleus and the cell body, and then to these little guys. And once our body is done repolarizing, then our body returns to its normal resting place, its original resting place. So once we do this, our body needs to prepare for the next message, and our neurons need a little break, and they only take a fraction of a millisecond just to recharge. So this process is called the refractory period, and it just makes sure that our cells or our neurons are recharged so we can do the exact same process all over again. I hope this helped, or you may have learned something, or it was just a nice review. But I hope you have an amazing week and had a great week studying. Take care and be safe. Thank you.